All right, more breaking news coming in now. Fast-paced developments in the entire NEET exam controversy. Now the NEET leak case, the paper leak case, has been handed over to the Central Investigating Agency, the CBI. Of course, this comes after the various demands of a CBI probe into the NEET paper leak case. Remember, students on the streets also demanded a CBI probe, a CBI investigation into the entire paper leak case. Of course, multiple agencies already probing. The Bihar Economic Offences Wing also looking at this. Mara Shakil is now joining us live. So, Mara, this was among the demands of the students protesting out in the streets. They wanted a CBI investigation, and now that has been promised by the government.
Yes, that's right. They were demanding either a CBI probe or a Supreme Court monitored probe. And now the government saying, and the press release, I will read that. That's very clear. It says certain cases of alleged irregularities, cheating, impersonation, malpractices have been reported. And for transparency on the conduct of the examination process, the Ministry of Education, Government of India, after review, has decided to entrust the matter to the Central Bureau of Investigation for comprehensive investigation. So what is very clear now is that the government is going to the Supreme Court on 8th with all the actions which has been taken, be it the action against the NTA boss, which is essentially sacking, removal of the NTA boss, and now the CBI probe. Now the question remains that does it stop at the CBI probe, and what does it actually mean that with the government, so far saying till 72 hours back saying that there has been no evidence of paper leak. Now the government on record is accepting that there were reports of cheating, irregularities, impersonation, malpractices. So it's very clear that there has been paper leak, malpractices, everything has been accepted by the government. Now the case has been handed over to the CBI. Now what? Does it mean that there will be NEET retest? Well, now that is the big decision. We are waiting for whether that decision will be taken in the next 24 hours or whether that will be taken a little later. But for the moment, one thing is clear, that CBI will now be investigating because there are reports of malpractices, and the words are cheating, irregularities, and impersonation.
As you say, now the focus will, of course, be on whether there's going to be a re-NEET, because there were a lot of demands, of the students. They said that, re-NEET is the only option. Many of them, however, saying that that would be unfair to a lot of students. But the fact of the matter is that the government moving fast is a fast-paced developments, to fix accountability, and perhaps also an acknowledgement of the fact that the National Testing Agency failed, in conducting the NEET examination, which is why the government leaving nothing to chance.
Yes, that's right. The National Testing Agency has failed, and all the exams that they were conducting has been postponed or cancelled. Now, as far as the exam which started this entire controversy, that exam which has been under the scanner, the NEET exams, that is now being handed over to the CBI, which is the UG NEET exam. The PG NEET has been postponed already, which was scheduled to take place on 8th of June. In some time from now, but in 24 hours. But the larger question certainly is that does it stop here? Are the students going to be satisfied with the CBI probe, because they were also demanding a Supreme Court monitored investigation? So CBI probe ordered, but will it also lead to a Supreme Court monitored investigation? That remains to be seen. And the next step, will it also mean re-NEET, just as it had happened in 2017, if memory serves me right, Vedant? But the government standing with the students, and this is the community that had been relentlessly fighting for it. It was their career which has been at stake. They were fighting for their rights. They were fighting for fairness. They were fighting for transparency, and rightly so. And and the government realizing that they had to stand with the right side, and the right side is the student side.
Absolutely, and some sort of a win certainly for the students community, and
absolutely,
and the government also trying to reassure and reinstate the faith of students in the testing agency, because of course the fact is that there has to be some solution forward. This cannot be a deadlock, which is why the government sort of taking bold steps, handing over the probe to the CBI, sacking the NTA chief, perhaps what many would call unprecedented moves by the government.
But I think as Nikunj was pointing out, and I would agree with him that this was the best way forward, that this was the only way forward in terms of the government realizing that there has to be an action of this nature, and taking a move which would actually mean that the student community, which has been worried about their own investigation, their own concerns, they realize that there has to be something which has to be done, and they were demanding fairness. They were saying that they do not have faith in the entire process, that they do not have faith in the testing agency, that they were not, they weren't really sure that if this re-NEET happens, or even if those retest happens of 1,563 students, that would essentially mean that there would be fairness in the system, because the fairness in the system had been compromised from the word go. The arbitrary manner in which the system had functioned was very clear from the very word go. And that is the reason why the government going ahead and sending this message that if they were to ensure that if there is a re-NEET going forward, or if there is if the students should have faith in this institution, that the only way that students can have faith in this institution is if there is a CBI probe or a Supreme Court monitored probe. Now the government saying that the CBI probe will be ordered.
Absolutely, Maria, and those visuals that we're constantly showing on our screens, it was disheartening to see all those students take to the streets with placards, their careers, their futures hanging in the balance, and it's these lakhs of students who are the heart of the story, really, and, move towards fixing accountability. It was really important for their trust to be reinstated as far as the systems of this country are concerned, because, these are the future doctors and future professors, future teachers, whose careers were at stake.
Absolutely, Vedant. The students who should have been spending their time having faith in the system, that the system would not let them down, were feeling, disheartened. They were feeling frustrated. They were angry and upset. They were, they were sure that the NTA was wrong. They were sure that the government had to do something, that they were demanding accountability. They were demanding transparency. And what if you have the entire student community, the NEET students on the streets demanding action? What can the government of the day do? And when you heard those voices, we at NDTV were constantly reporting the voices of the students, and they were very clear that the students wanted some lot of clarity from the government. That does it stop at those 1,563 students, or does it actually mean that there are several others who have been given grace marks, and hence there has to be something more that has to be done for them? And for that, the only way forward was to ensure that there is this entire clarity. The clarity would come only if there is a CBI investigation which has been ordered.
Now there's a multi-agency probe in a sense, Maria, because you have the Bihar Economic Offences Wing already. They submitted their report. The Bihar police looking at the solver gang aspect. Now you have the Central Investigating Agency, of course, which will be taking over the probe. So a multi-agency probe to, in a sense, find the root cause of this entire paper leak. In fact, Nikunj Garg is also now live on the phone line with us, our senior managing editor. So Nikunj, this was one of the demands of the students. They wanted a CBI probe into the paper leak, and there was a lot of outrage across states over how papers of key examinations leaked. And now, of course, you have the Central Investigating Agency, which will probe the root cause of this entire mess.
Well, I think it's a prudent decision that the government has taken, because the fact is that while the Bihar Economic Offences Unit, which started to probe this case, has done a commendable job in first to begin with, and then to find out the root of the paper leak. But it will still be a case of multiple jurisdictions across the states coming into play. Sometimes there can be reluctance, particularly if the different political parties are in power, to carry out such probes. Therefore, a Central Bureau of Investigation probe would completely paper over those cracks. And as you said, that if it was the demand of the principal stakeholders in this matter, that is the students, then for sure the government has done the right thing and should have actually done this earlier. However, as I have been repeating, that bureaucracies being what they are, they take their own time and sometimes to arrive at critical decisions. Nonetheless, my sense is that the government has not ordered a takeover of the probes, which means that the Economic Offences Unit of Bihar, or for that matter Telangana, or for that matter Andhra Pradesh, whichever state police is probing these cases, will continue to probe these cases. However, the Central Bureau of Investigation will now become the central agency to probe the multiple dimensions or all the dimensions across the country. And remember, the heart of it is a central agency and the central government employees. Obviously, the NTA chief and his subordinates are the central government employees. If you need to probe them, then prudence lies in the fact that a central agency does that job. It would be much more easier for that central agency to coordinate with the Ministry of Home Affairs, basis whose inputs the Government of India claims, the Education Ministry claims, that they cancelled the previous examination. So all the coordination between the central government ministries and the state government, probe of the central government employees, etc., would become much smoother now that the Central Bureau of Investigation comes into play. I would not say that they are any more professional than the state police forces. As I have again previously said, that Bihar police has done a commendable job in this case in unearthing. Unfortunately, to begin with, nobody paid much attention or heed to the claims of the Bihar police, which interestingly currently is led by a former Central Bureau of Investigation officer, Mr. R.S. Bhatti, who was a senior officer in the CBI before he went back to his parent cadre and became the Director General of Police, Bihar. Now, having ordered the CBI probe, my sense is that the Government of India will be quickly handing over all the keys, all the back-end software, all the back-end arrangements that go into carrying out such a mammoth exercise of a national examination. That would make the task or the job of the Central Bureau of Investigation much easier compared to any other state police force, because the Government of India agency and officials will also feel much more free in terms of dealing with the probe agency, that is the CBI. So in that sense, the probe should now gather pace. One should hope that the CBI should get to the bottom of this matter, and never again in the history of this country should a day come, as we have been seeing unfolding in the previous few days, where the future of the lakhs and lakhs of the students have been put under serious question mark. And as I've been saying that, despite in India, examinations are not just examinations. They are sometimes make or break moments of life. Parents, teachers, students themselves spend lakhs and lakhs of man hours, lakhs and lakhs of rupees in preparation for these examinations. And if any kind of setback comes in such a process, it's not just a setback for a student, it's just a setback for entire institution, entire families. And with great alarm and concern, the concerned intelligentsia or the concerned people have been watching now for many days student protests spiraling over across on the streets. A scenario which should have never actually have played out. Unfortunately, it happened. Unfortunately, there are very serious lapses. Unfortunately, the government did not act with the kind of alacrity that it should have from day one in terms of the probe. Right. Unfortunately, there were many gaping holes that were not paid attention to, and one only hopes that going forward, things are not. Nobody tries to look the other way when the crisis is staring all of us in the face.
Nikunj, thanks very much for joining us with that and putting it all in perspective. Maria Shakil continues to be with us. So, Maria, as we were discussing earlier, now there's going to be a multi-agency probe. But what next? That is a key question. Perhaps are we to expect some more sort of fast-paced developments in the next 24 hours, given the fact that the government is really moving fast with the investigation and with its bid to fix accountability?
Yes, so, the next big question after this is, will there be re-NEET? So that is the only question that is there on the minds of those 24 lakh students who certainly feel that because of the acceptance of malpractices, malafide and impersonation and alleged cheating, if the case has been handed over to the CBI, which essentially means that certain students did not get the level playing field that these exams are expected to offer. And will there be re-NEET? Well, that is the big question that needs to be answered. A clarity of that would come in the next 24 hours, perhaps just before the session of Parliament. Yes, and we were standing with the students. We are standing with the student community here. 24 lakh students who took NEET. They are staring at an uncertain future. They do not know whether when they will be going for counseling, counseling, they would be getting the right, seat in the right college, Vedant, because they feel that the entire system has been unfair to them. So if they would not mind, I'm not too sure of, because a number of students were of the opinion that there should not be any re-NEET.
Yes.
But if the students want to re-NEET, should be given that option or not? That is the big question also. But now that that there is a clear acceptance of of cheating in particular. So the examination process has been flawed. So will there be re-NEET is the question that we are waiting to find answer of. But overall, but overall, one thing is clear. That the government has sent a message that they are serious about fixing the entire examination mess. The paper leak country that we have become, that in every state, be it for jobs or for teacher examination or for post graduation, the paper leaks happen, and
right.
and just about nobody seems to be having any answer to that. So there is a need for a criminal investigation into NEET, which has the maximum number of students. Vedant, look, governments will come and go.
Absolutely.
We have seen how the NEET, the examination paper leak became the talking point in the Rajasthan elections,
Yes.
became a talking point in Madhya Pradesh assembly elections. And the opposition was seeking accountability. Several ministers lost from their seats because of the allegations that they were facing. So there is a need for fixing the system because of the challenges that the entire examination process is facing at the moment. But certainly we are seeing that there is something which is becoming clear, perhaps a ray of hope for the students at the end of a otherwise dark tunnel. Those students who will be going back home, will be going to bed later tonight, will be satisfied that there are people taking care of their future, handling their future with a lot of caution and care. So I think we are standing with the students, Vedanta.
Yes, absolutely.
And that's what, when I took those exams several years ago, we wanted clarity. And certainly the students are right in demanding that clarity.
Absolutely, Mara. Thanks very much for joining us with that update there. So some silver lining there, certainly for the lakhs of students who've been relentlessly on the streets for the past couple of weeks.